given that, if you can pick one thing that makes the most sense for you based on where you're at with leveraging AI or not with your alum, then you can listen to everything later on or check things out later on too. So I know there's a lot of alum that are feeling stressed out and concerned about the job market, et cetera. We're getting a lot of questions from people about how long will my search take? How do I figure out what the right job is for me? Is this the right time for me to make a move? And some of the things that we hear as well are when people come to us, they're like, well, I want to make a shift, but I'm not sure what it is. So that unclear direction can take a lot to help people figure out because there's self-reflection that needs to happen there, et cetera. Another thing that we help our clients with, and we hear a lot from people too, is I don't know how to articulate my strengths, my interests, and my transferable skills. Some people come to us, understandably, that they're like, I'm so overwhelmed because there's so many different options and jobs out there. And some people, understandably, if you look at the bottom of this slide, it's like, I don't know how fully how career paths are evolving, especially as it relates to AI and technology. And sometimes the time that we spend with our alum, like we can only give so much time. And what I find is that we can use AI to help support the traditional advising so that we can go a little bit deeper with people. We can give them homework to do, things that they can take away from so that we can expand like our reach and our support and help a little bit more. And here's how we think about. So let's talk about this sort of as perspective for a moment. And then on the next slide, I've got our agenda. What we use and recommend AI, kind of where it can fit in, is it can help people like explore different things, come up with new ideas. And so if we look at this next slide, it can help them reflect a little bit more deeply, like what's really important to me, what are my strengths, etc. It can help them also, though, identify patterns and themes so that they can start to identify, like, okay, you've got this theme across your experience or strengths across your experience that you may not have seen. So it can help with that as well. It can help them expand their thinking beyond just the obvious roles, like what are jobs adjacent or careers adjacent to what I'm doing now or some of my current ideas. And it can help them explore things a little bit faster. And as people get used to AI, they start to learn what questions to ask and how to ask things. It is a little bit of a skill for those of you who are starting to use it already, like how to ask things in the right way. So, bottom line, at the bottom left-hand side of this slide, it supports the process. It doesn't take the place of it because, as we all know, it's not always right. The data may be out of date that it's giving you. You have to be really, really careful with it. So it supports the process, but professionals and talking to a human being can kind of help people guide the meaning of what they're getting or the results that they're getting from AI when they're asking questions. So, what we wanted to talk about today, and I am wide open to questions, by the way, at any point during our session today, as well as at the end. So please feel free to pop those into the Q&A, and I'll pause at any time. You can feel free to interrupt me. Defining career direction with AI or getting support with it. We'll talk a little bit about different ways to use it to strengthen their people's resumes, et cetera, how to use it for research, networking, and career exploration a little bit more. And then also to help people and alumni think about how to implement a career plan too, because you can ask it for those things as well. I'm going to go ahead and put the slides are here with the QR code. I'm going to put it in the chat box, Cassie, if you don't mind. I think I only have the ability to chat with us. So if you don't mind copying that for the group, that would be great, just in case the link is easier. So, we're going to talk about each of these elements, but like I said, happy to answer any questions on anything that's related to this as well. So, I wanted to do our first poll here if we could. We're keeping Cassie busy over there, and find out a little bit more about how comfortable everybody is on the call today using AI tools. So, we'll go ahead and launch that. And it's okay if you're kind of in the middle of any of these, but I think this is helpful just for everyone to know. So let's just do the first poll here at the very top. Number one, how comfortable you are using AI. And if you don't mind, if we just do the first poll, that would be great if you don't mind reposting it. So, oh, but actually, if we need to do it all at once, let's just do it all at once. I think we probably need to make it easier.
Sorry about that. I did group them all together.
Oh no, it's totally fine because again, like I don't even know. I think it lets you do it, but it's all good. So the tool like this, I can't remember which tool it is. It could be the career exploration tool. So you can skip number two and let's just do number one and three and find out how often people are using it. And it's all good, no worries. And we want you to know too, like you're not alone. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I do use AI, but it's taken me a little while. I was a little bit hesitant at first. And a lot of our clients and the alum that we work with, will say like, oh, well, let's use AI for this. And they're like, oh, I forgot about that. Like, I think people are still kind of having to remember that it's an option and a tool that they can use. So it's totally okay if you're kind of wading in the waters.
We have 80% of the poll completed.
Okay, that's great. That works for me.
Would you like me to end it?
Yeah, that's perfect.
And I'm sharing the results.
Oh, good. Okay. Yay. Everybody is already, which is fantastic. I kind of assumed that, but really good to know. Tried them, but not regularly. Again, totally normal. Just kind of get your sea legs with it. And it looks like people are already using a lot of the job searching tools and resume, et cetera, et cetera. So you all are starting to get a sense already, which is great, of what works, what doesn't, where you can use it, where you need to be careful. So, some of the tools, if we look at this next slide, and thanks for doing the poll, that was fantastic and really helpful to know. When you're helping people expand or think about career possibilities, I find that this is kind of the area for career stuff that people don't use AI as much. A lot of people I think are like, yeah, I'm doing it or using it for my resume, etc., but they don't always think about it for this purpose, and you can use it. So I would be encouraging people and sharing this with alum, for example. So when we're talking with someone who wants to look at something different for them, sure, they can look at things and career paths that are completely different, obviously. But are there things that they can look at that are adjacent to what they're doing now that would actually be a really good fit for them? Because what we find, at least, and I'm not sure if you all feel this way, but when someone's unhappy in their career, they usually think they have to start from scratch all over again and find something completely different. And in some cases, that is the best thing to do. But we try to have our clients say, look, let's not always be dramatic. You don't always have to do that. Sometimes a course correction is actually the right fit. And so looking at adjacent roles, organizations that are connected to their field, whether it's vendors, partners, clients, etc., but then also using and asking AI to give them new ways to apply their existing skills. And some of the tools that we currently use, I like ChatGPT. I tend to like Claude a little bit better. I like the answers given there a little bit more. I think they're more in depth. And then Teal is another one, and career.io. Couple of things just kind of going off but related on this topic. We had a couple of clients that used Claude to say, evaluate my LinkedIn profile as if I was a hiring manager using LinkedIn Recruiter. And they got some additional advice there. Another client who had attended an AI seminar recently said, and I haven't tested this out yet, and I'm not sure how we would exactly know, but he said if you put in there that after you give me these results, and I know this might sound weird, but he said it works, that someone with 20 years of experience is going to evaluate their responses, that it makes the computer think a little bit longer and harder about their results. So, again, he said it is effective to make sure that you're really getting accurate information. We've also told some of our clients to put their resume in and imagine or pretend that they're a hiring manager. You know, I'm hiring for this role. Why is this person qualified or not? And again, I know that jumps to resume a little bit, but just wanted to kind of bring that up. So it can help them with brainstorming other ideas because we do find, and then we'll look at this next slide, that it is pretty overwhelming for people. Like it's exciting that there are so many opportunities out there and there's things that they didn't know existed, but a lot of people are that much more overwhelmed with things too. So these are some of the prompts that you could use or suggest that they use to help them brainstorm alternative ideas, adjacent roles, etc. Remember, we were talking a minute ago about learning about the different prompts, and these are some that tend to work. And then if you look at the third one here, the emerging roles align with this. This can give them things that are more on the cutting edge, et cetera. Um, and reminding, of course, alumni that this isn't always the final answer. It's here to help you, or it can help you brainstorm ideas, but you want to make sure you're covering all of your bases. And then you need to obviously consider geography and all of those other things that we're always telling them to do as it is. But these are some example prompts that you could use or suggest to them. And these are the types of things that you could send to them at the end of your session, as part of your notes, for example. When we're working with our clients, and we are fine with anyone using our model if it's helpful for you. You probably use different things similar to this already. And for the partners that we already work with, you know about our model a little bit. But what we try to do with our clients, we have them look at this ideal career model. This is something that we show all of our career direction clients to help them brainstorm ideas, but also make sure they're checking all of the boxes. Because some people will come to us, and I'm sure you all have seen this. And for example, if we're looking at the model with them, they'll figure out, a lot of this stuff over here in blue is already in place. And it's really just the work environment that's not working for me. And then they determine, well, actually, I could be doing something similar to what I'm doing now, just at a different place. So we use this, and you can feel free to download it and use it. We're totally fine with that as like a checklist and an evaluation tool to help clients figure out what's working and what's not working, and therefore then what needs to actually change versus what can stay the same, if you will. So it's the fulfillment piece, it's what are their interests, like tasks they like to perform, strengths, experience, education, making sure that their career path and their role, et cetera, fits with their personality type, and then work environment and compensation. So the what we find with this kind of at the beginning of our client engagement with people is that it helps us see the themes and what they're saying they like and dislike about where they are, because then they can start to say, oh, it's really about this, and this is what needs to shift. And then if we look at the right-hand side of the slide for a second, it can help people like create keywords that they can put into AI to generate options. So obviously their strengths. If I have 20 years of experience, in event planning or whatever it is, what are alternative career ideas? You can plug in like keywords from these different elements to get alternative ideas. So that's the whole purpose of using this model. It kind of helps them narrow it down, but there's other things too. So I would love it. And I was just thinking about the poll. Sorry. If anyone can just say yes or no if they use any kind of tool like this in the chat box, that would be great. I'm sure you do, like Strengths Finder assessment, different assessments. We want people in an ideal world when possible, whether it's in your session with them or you have them think about it later, but making sure that they're covering all of their bases. So we do want people to think about their values. We know that they need to pay their bills and be practical and all of that. But we find that that when people feel like they have a sense of accomplishment and things are rewarding for them, they can stay longer in their career path and it's a better fit for them. And then they can brainstorm ideas using these different pieces too. So it's a tool to help them identify priorities, but also what else maybe like you need to evaluate and change and shift a little bit more. So let's look at these for a moment, and then I'm going to pause for a second in this next slide just to pause for any questions as we're thinking about this. So we talked about ChatGPT already. It's one of the basic ones. By the way, like with Claude and ChatGPT, personally for me, I don't have a problem logging into them. Like I don't feel like that's an issue, but I don't log into them just because I just like to use it, just kind of, blank slate. I do know that some people like to log into those things so they can keep track of things. I think that's up to you. I will say that some of our clients are starting to have slight concerns. This isn't a lot of them, but I think there will be more over time about confidentiality and putting their information into ChatGPT. So we do want to be careful about that and mindful of what they're okay with and what they're not okay with. So, for example, maybe what we do is we upload the content of a resume, but we don't have their name, obviously, and their contact information. So I think there's a whole kind of separate discussion around that, but just being mindful of how we use people's information. We haven't had any problems with it, but it is something that's coming to mind for our clients a little bit more. Then we've got Teal for job tracking and helping resume be keyword aligned. There's JobScan, Perplexity is another one, and Udly is good for interview practice. And then there's obviously you can use these sites too for salary research or encourage alumni to use them. Sometimes ChatGPT can kind of amalgamate everything into one place for them, but remembering that the salary research can be kind of a range and they've got to do a little bit more deeper dive there. The bottom line here, and I realize that like Udemy isn't for career exploration per se, but we wanted to put the things that are helpful. There are lots of different tools that can help with interview prep and other elements of people's search as well. So, for example, if someone needs help with their elevator speech, they can use ChatGPT, et cetera, as well. Remembering, as we all already know, we don't want to just copy and paste anything. So we want to be careful there. So, any questions so far? I wanted to just point out while we pause for a second. These are some of the prompts that you can use for different elements and remembering to let people know, don't just copy and paste or read it. Um, I say this because we had a client once who more recently, like she loved ChatGPT and was using it a ton, and she was getting good advice about how to sell herself during an interview and thoughts. But she ended up like when we did a mock interview with her, you could totally tell she was reading and it sounded way too ChatGPT. So we really want to make sure that we're communicating that to people because she even got that feedback from someone she had interviewed with. So it's good for ideas, but we want to be careful with it. All right. Any questions so far about anything? And I guess I'm curious too if anyone else has other tools that you have used so far that have been helpful related to what we're talking about. I'm going to open the chat box too, just so I see if things come through.
We don't
All right.
have any questions submitted yet.
Okay. All right, cool. So I'm going to have it open, but that's good. Okay. So let us know if you have questions as we go. Um, Oh, perfect. One came through. AI tools, ChatGPT. Clients use more than one. Yeah, this is a good question. Um, I tend to find that, for example, ChatGPT, I like comparing the responses between ChatGPT and Claude because I might get similar answers, but like for example, I might recommend using two of them just to see like what common themes they see and making sure that the answer is kind of the same. So yes, bottom line, I do think it's a good idea for them to use two. I think if they go more than two, it's just going to end up being overwhelming and muddying the waters. And another great tool, grow.google. Ooh, good for Google. I'm gonna copy and paste this. I like this. Thank you for sharing that. That's very cool. And I'm assuming if you don't mind in there, Isabella, is this for like career exploration, the Google one that you're saying? Just go ahead and put that in there if you were. And then, oh, cool. Okay, good. For this purpose, career X-ray. That's awesome too. Fantastic. All right, cool. So please keep asking. Happy to pause and answer. Um, so I do think oh, and I'll say just really quickly, and then we'll start to talk about this next piece here. LinkedIn does have, and I'm totally blanking on what it is. I want to say Career Explorer, but it's not that. But a career tool now that helps people like do strategic career planning and thinking about their next role, et cetera, et cetera. So if I think of the name of it and if I have time to look it up today, I will look it up. I'm blanking on the name because there's so many different ones. But we do have clients that use that. And I kind of like that one as well because it's built into LinkedIn already and it's attached to job openings, et cetera. Okay, cool. Great ideas. So let's talk about the job search element of it just a little bit more. And yes, it is a premium feature. It may be the basic level of premium. Like I know there's different levels. I think you get it. It's just the bottom level, the less expensive one. But yes, it is more premium. Yes, that's it. I think that is it. Let me look at it. Uh-huh. Yep, that's it. The one that was just shared in the chat box. You can check that out. Oh, and sorry, let me say one more thing about the career exploration for just a second, too, is what we tend to have clients do, is, and I'm sure you all do this as well, is we'll have them use like AI and like My Next Move and those different websites that we all know about already to brainstorm ideas. I do like to have them honestly still Google a little bit too, though, because Googling instead of or in addition to AI can help them come like they might identify articles that are actually helpful related to the career paths they might be considering. And for example, schools and universities might have a list of like these are the things you could do with this major. So there are different like results, if you will, that can come out of doing even just the old school, so to speak, Google search. So I would suggest that people still do that as well, because then they've got this list of things and they could get some really good articles or blog posts or learn something else that they wouldn't get from AI. So recommend Google still. And then we'll have them start to use those same keywords that are relevant to the jobs that or paths that they're considering. And we'll have them plug those into job boards like LinkedIn, Indeed, etc. So we tend to suggest, and if you all have something else that you use, please feel free to share, like a funnel process where it's like big picture, broad thinking with Google and AI. Then they can start to narrow things down a little bit more using job boards to see, okay, what's realistic in my area? Who's hiring those types of things? And we want people to do both because if they just do job boards, like we have a lot of people saying, well, I'm looking on the job boards all the time and I don't, it's not helping me. And that makes sense because there's a lot of stuff on there. And those are not designed for career exploration like these other tools are, like we've said. Okay, so let's talk about clarifying and communicating value. I think we all know, as we've said, and you all are using different tools for different things. It can help, obviously, with cover letter. I don't know about you all, but I find that our clients tend to totally forget about their elevator speech. I think because they're exhausted from doing their resume and LinkedIn, which I get. So we're usually wanting to help them focus on that just a little bit more because we find that either people aren't doing as much networking as they could, or B, if they are and they're not getting results, it's because they're not saying the right things. They might not be reaching out to the right people, but it's also that they're not either selling themselves effectively or saying the right things or asking really pointed, specific questions. So, those are some of the themes that we're focusing on lately with our clients because I do think more people are kind of getting the gist that, oh, I'm supposed to be networking, but even those people that are maybe need a little bit more help with strategy. And this is where AI could help them even come up with a schedule and goals and that kind of thing too. So if we look at this for just a second, I think we all know about these, so I won't spend a lot of time on this, but we also like to have, oh, awesome. Okay, cool. And we also like people to have like a bank of content that they create and can use for different purposes. So we encourage our clients to have a master version of their resume. They can adjust and edit that, but also like a Word document that here's my email for cold connections or my LinkedIn message or whatever. And as we all know, they can use AI for this. That's built into LinkedIn Premium too. But it can also, you can use AI to analyze your materials. We tend to use JobScan and Resume Worded. We still use those. We like those. Um, and reminding them, obviously, that everything needs to be accurate and you want to maintain your authentic voice too. Let's launch the second poll. If I read, Cassie, your note right. If I didn't, sorry. Let's go ahead and do that. Off topic, extremely tight on budget. Do any of you charge your alumni for use of these tools to be able to? Yeah, you know what? That would be great if you could drop in any comments in response to Gina. Um, I'm not sure like what our university partners do. And if you're using, like, if you charge people for certain things, I do know some of our schools, our partner schools will charge, for example, for like Strengths Finder assessment or those types of things. And in some cases, it's included. I think we might have answered this one already, but if you don't mind answering it just in case, that would be great. And I'm trying to think if remember what we talked about with LinkedIn profile as well. Like I would use AI and say, imagine that I'm using LinkedIn Recruiter. What would I say to this person? So there's kind of creative ways you can ask different questions. And it looks like from this poll, most people have, but some people haven't, which totally fine. And you can do this with resume, LinkedIn, and cover letter as well. So here are the things that it can help people do. And I know some of it is obvious, like scan this resume for keywords. Like those are some of the main kind of basic things most people are doing. But consider it for other things as well. Like some clients need help with making their bullet points more results oriented. To brainstorm accomplishments. Like I'm having trouble identifying like either how to word my accomplishments or what they are. Helping to rewrite for certain things, keywords like we already talked about, And in some cases, our clients will use it to help them tailor versions for different types of roles. For example, if they're trying to kind of target a few different career paths. Um, and we know what to avoid and be careful of there. So just to remind you, there's different ways that you can use this for resume and LinkedIn, and also like keywords for LinkedIn as well. And to expand their skills section on LinkedIn, you can have AI scan it and say, make some suggestions. And great, some people are responding to Gina. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Elevator speech. This is something people tend to forget. And I also don't feel like a lot of our clients will ask about it. So just encouraging you all to bring it up as an important add-on to their resume and LinkedIn, et cetera. Because I think sometimes in the past we've set people out there and they've got their materials, but we need them to be speaking about themselves, as confidently as possible. And as we know, don't rely on it. Just make sure that that's there, that they can use it for ideas. The other thing, so let's talk about networking with AI for just a moment. I think we all know if they're looking to network with someone who's like a second or third connection, obviously we're going to tell that alum to ask for an introduction. But this is where they can either use AI if they don't have premium, they can use like ChatGPT, or if they do have premium, they can use AI to help them with messaging. But again, we want to make sure that we're adjusting it a little bit. But part of this too is you can suggest to them, and sorry, the sun's coming in, that they can use AI to identify networking um, groups in their area, networking events, and career fairs as well. So there's the website Eventbrite, but you can also ask ChatGPT what are good networking events in my area and who are good people maybe to network with. So you can use it for this purpose as well. And our clients usually are able to identify a couple of networking events that they didn't know about beforehand, or even career fairs if that's applicable to them. So just keep that in mind as well. In some cases, too, they may be able to use AI to identify local recruiters that they can work with, too. Um, so this kind of piggybacks on what we were just saying. If we look at the career exploration on the left-hand side, it may be able to help them identify LinkedIn groups that are a little bit more active that they could hop into, in addition to your alumni group. Obviously, we always recommend that first. Um, Industry associations, that's how they can find out about this and any meetings they might have coming up. Personalized outreach ideas, we talked about that, recruiters as well. It can help, as we all know, too, with preparing for actual interviews and informational interviews as well by summarizing company insights, what's been going on with this organization in order to prepare without having to read through everything that's on the web about that company. It'll help with that too. With the networking piece and informational interviews, it can help them identify other people to connect with and help them generate talking points, questions they want to ask based on, let's say, a specific person's profile. If I'm job searching and I'm talking to Joe, here's his profile. What are some good questions I could ask him based on his expertise and experience? It can give them ideas about that, which is great. And then it can help them summarize everything that might be going on with an organization, buzzwords on people's LinkedIn profiles, job descriptions, company priorities and challenges, recent news. You can put a lot of information in there. Remember, if you're using the free version of Claude or ChatGPT, I don't know exactly what those limits are, but you can ask a certain number of questions. You can upload files into either ChatGPT or Claude, and it will scan those for you. But there is a limit to that. It's only going to do a certain number, and then it has to reset for like 24 hours. So do know though that you can ask the questions, but you can also upload files into it for it to scan and identify things. Is it going to be perfect? Not necessarily, but it is something to consider. And then with networking, and understanding the hidden job market, lots of different things that we can do here that I think we're already telling alumni to do. But bottom line, AI can help them do less legwork in terms of the research of finding people, figuring out what's going on with the organization, identifying networking events and all those other really good things. Um, and before we start to get to helping them implement plans for job search, et cetera, and then we'll have time for questions too. Remember that we want to be, really hammer it home with them about making sure they're not copy and pasting texts. We have had a lot of clients when they first come to us, they've gotten, resume templates from AI or from the web, and some of them are going to get past the scanning systems and some of them are not. So that's something that we're finding a lot that people get excited about all the cool different layouts of resumes and they think, oh, this is great. It's going to help me stand out. But as we all know, it might look good, but it might not get past those scanning systems. So that's something we're having to tell our clients a lot too. Making sure that they're verifying the data. I asked ChatGPT a question the other day, and one of the stats it gave me was from like 2020 or something. And it's not always listed right there. So you do need to dig in a little bit further and just make sure that A, it came from somewhere reputable and that the data is accurate and all that stuff. We talked about confidential information and being erring on the side of caution there and keeping your own voice as well, as we all know too. And before we get to other questions, we have one more poll question, and we would encourage you to use it or encourage, sorry, alumni to use it, and you can use it for them or with them. Remember too, you can share results of a search that you've done. There's a share button on all of the different AI platforms to help alumni, whether it's their target career direction, creating a plan. You can ask AI to help you for a job search plan, but there's also Teal and those other websites we talked about that actually can help them manage their search. And you want them, as we all know, to stay organized and consistent, and AI can help you with all of these things. As we're doing this next poll here, and it'll be our last one for today, something we find a lot, which I'm sure you all do too, is people just feel overwhelmed. And so they either stop job searching and just go back to their job or whatever it is. And you can ask it to help you generate, for example, a daily and weekly job searching checklist. They're going to need to adjust it for their own purposes. But we are always wanting to get down to like, what are your goals for every day and, every week for your career exploration and your job search? And you can use AI to help them like manage things in baby steps a little bit too. All right, so let's look at this. Introduce AI prompts during sessions. That's awesome. And you could do this just by the way, sharing screens or not, however you tend to handle your sessions. And remember, you can share, you can copy and paste the content. And we've got a lot of people recommending, which is great. And I know that's what a lot of us need to do is here's some tools you can use because we can't spend hours with them necessarily. And those career conversations, you can brainstorm ideas with people just on the fly right then too. So I love all of these action steps. I think this is great. And we have a boot camp coming up that starts on Thursday. If you happen to have any last minute alumni who need help with their career direction, this is what we do all day long. It's a 4-session boot camp over the course of the next 4 Thursdays. And I'll put this in the chat box if it would be helpful for anyone. And just really quickly, too, If you have alum who ever feel like, or you feel like they need more assistance, we always offer a free consult and they can learn about our services and happy to give them a discount on those as well. All right, so we've got some good action steps. Any other questions that anyone wants to ask either me or anyone else on the call today? This is your opportunity. And I know we shared a lot. I hope it wasn't overwhelming. I kind of feel like it probably wasn't since a lot of people are kind of wading into the pool here a little bit. I would just say too to yourself, like, okay, I'm going to try it like for a different purpose every single day, something like that. And again, you'll start to get clear on how to ask it the right questions for your purposes. Oh, and thanks for putting that in the chat box too. So, any other questions, Cassie, that came through, and any announcements that you want to make too while we're waiting if needed?
We do not have any questions in the Q&A at this moment,
Okay.
and I can't think of any announcements that we have.
Okay. We'll
But
give
this has
everybody
been
a second.
extremely helpful. You've got me some really good kind of ideas of some things that I'm going to add into some of the, ways that I'm engaging with AI myself as a coach, but also with my work in alumni as well. So thank you
Oh,
so much
good.
for that.
I'm really glad. You are so welcome. One thing that I'll say too, and then I'll let everybody go. One of the topics that we're starting to do now is how to use and implement AI in your current job so that you can be using it in the right way. Because I think some people are a little bit overwhelmed with that. So, please know that the things we talked about today related to AI, in some cases, if you are helping an alum with like, how do I deal with it within my current role, there are ways that you can tweak the things that we've talked about to say, okay, well, let's generate some ideas here and we can use AI for ways that I can talk to my boss or, whatever it is. So if you ever get those questions, remember it's here for that as well as a generation tool. So thank you, everybody. And I hope this was helpful for you.
I know it's helpful for me. I'm sure it's helpful for other people. And I think luckily and hopefully, at least those of us in institutions, our institutions are helping us to have access to these tools. I know we're lucky enough that Penn State just launched an AI studio that gives us access to two versions of Claude. It gives us access to multiple versions of ChatGPT. And Google, which is really awesome. I haven't had a chance to really dive into all of them yet. And they started doing some trainings for staff on how to use it. And then, of course, as a Microsoft institution, we have access to Copilot, and then Copilot kind of integrated into, you know, Excel and other things, which is great. So I'm hoping that, I'm assuming that other institutions are doing that as well. So
Yeah.
um, I know we have some extra time, so as we are kind of wrapping things up, please feel free to add additional comments into the chat. I'm seeing lots of love for you, Hallie, in the chat. I hope you're seeing that from our audience today. So don't feel like you can't throw any questions in. But I did just want to say before we wrap up that on behalf of the entire Alumni Career Services Network, I would like to thank you for sharing your time and knowledge and expertise today. We are very grateful for the information that you shared with us. And I know many of us took a lot of key takeaways away and things of learns that we can take back to our institutions and the work that we're doing. Again, thank you so much for all of your insight. And I hope that everybody will, take some of these tips and strategies and play with them and implement them, as we all know that this is a very large topic right now with everybody that we're working with. And, I can definitely, as you were talking about some clients, I definitely had some of those that like overuse it a little bit too much and rely on it. And then some that are like just barely, kind of tapping into it or haven't even gone anywhere near it. And then, everybody kind of in between. So there's definitely that balance as I think we're all utilizing this new tool that can be very effective in our work and definitely a time saver
Yeah.
as well if used properly.
Yes, I know it needs like a disclaimer or something, right? And it's almost like, and I'm thinking of this for our business as well, as almost like a cheat sheet for AI, that you give them the tools there and you give them suggestions, and every alum gets this or whatever is appropriate. But something like that I think can be helpful because then you're not having to repeat all of it. And they've got like a key takeaway too. So just ideas.
Yeah. Any last minute comment questions?
All right. We might have
All
covered
right.
everything, at
I think
least
we did. You
before.
did cover so much. It was very detailed, which was fantastic. So thank you guys again for being here. Thank you again, Hallie, for everything. This was wonderful. And we will follow up with information as well. It is in the chat with her boot camp and link to her slides if you need that. So thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Yes, good luck, everybody. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.